Welcome to Shower TV Reductions, and today I'm going to be breaking down the main card for 1 on Prime 2, Angela Lee versus Xiong on 3. First up is a lightweight contest between Haile Amir and Timofey Nastukin. Nastukin is a veteran in 1 and had a pretty bad year last year, suffering 2 TKO losses. Now he's hoping for somewhat of a tune-up fight when he takes on Haile Amir. Timofey is known for his explosive power, and I do believe he has the heaviest hands in the division. This guy in the first round is absolutely ridiculous. Just looking at his fights with Folayan and Eddie Alvarez, the power that he showed there, absolutely exceptional. His opponent, Almir, is making his 1 debut. He's an undefeated Turkish striker. All of his wins have come via finish. He utilizes pretty good boxing. He's got a good left hook, a pretty decent counter striker as well. He's got good leg kicks. However, the main question here is how is he going to deal with Timofey's power? He hasn't faced anybody near the level of Timofey before, and especially in that first round, it's going to be so dangerous. I could see Amir maybe taking over if the fight makes it out of the first round because Nastukin's cardio is not the best, but that first round is going to be so dangerous that I'm going to have to go with Timofey here. I'm going to have Timofey winning in the first round via knockout. After that, there is a featherweight MMA contest between Martin Nguyen and Ilya Freemanov. Martin is a former 2-division champion and is coming off of a win earlier this year against Kirill Gorovets, where he won in the 3rd round via TKO. Martin is a very well-rounded fighter. He's got a lot of power in his right hand. Pretty decent boxer. He mixes in the leg kicks well. Likes to go to the body pretty good as well. He actually shines really well in the grappling area, but he actually doesn't use his wrestling that much anymore. Just going back and watching his fight with Christian and seeing how fast he was able to finish him on the ground with a Darce choke, he seems to have fallen in love with his hands, and even though that proved to be pretty good early on, it has proven to cause some struggles in recent times. Freemanov is a striker. He utilizes the clinch pretty well. He's got pretty good boxing. He doesn't have much of a ground game, but he is very resilient. He's a tough guy to finish, and he does have problems on the back foot and with fighters that give him a lot of pressure. I think Martin should probably win this fight without too much of a hassle here. He's got really excellent pressure, and he's going to make Freemanov pretty tired pretty early on. He's going to make Freemanov work a lot in this fight. The biggest negative I have to say against Nguyen, the thing that's maybe holding me back from being too confident about it, Nguyen is maybe just a little bit over-reliant in that right hand, though. I think that he throws it and he doesn't care too much about having much of a guard up. And I think against Freemanov, he could get him in trouble. I could see Nguyen exiting after failing to land an overhand right, and Freemanov catching him with a spinning back fist or something and knocking him out. But I am going to go with Nguyen here. I think he's going to exhaust the Russian pretty early on and get a finish in later rounds. I'll have Martin Nguyen winning in the 3rd round via TKO. Moving on to the women's Atomweight match between 2 top 5 fighters, between Stamp Fairtex and Jihin Ratsuan. Stamp was the 1 women's Atomweight Grand Prix champion who unsuccessfully challenged for the women's Atomweight title back at 1X. Jihin has been kind of the dark horse of the women's Atomweight division. She's been around for a little bit, but this year in particular, she's really gotten more attention. She's got back-to-back wins this year over Mei Yamaguchi and Itsuki Hirata. Jihin is a pretty well-rounded fighter. She's got decent leg kicks and okay boxing, but I think she really does shine in the clinch and in the wrestling. That's where her base is, and that's where she does her best work. She's got pretty good top control there. Stamp, on the other hand, is definitely going to have the striking advantage. Stamp was a 2-sport kickboxing and Muay Thai world champion in 1 at one point in her career, and she's got really excellent distance management, good kicks, pretty solid boxing as well. And she really has leveled up in her grappling game. She's gotten really good jiu-jitsu. She was, of course, able to submit Ritsu Fogot, and she was able to hold her own on the mat with some other grapplers in the past. As for a prediction for this one, I'm going to lean Stamp here because I think she has really good distance management. Striking-wise, she's going to be able to counter a lot of what Jihin tries to do, and I think Jihin's going to have a hard time taking Stamp down and controlling her. So I'll have Stamp winning a decision. Then, the rubber match in the co-main event of the evening, as Mikey Musumeci takes on Kleber Souza for the inaugural 1 Flyweight submission grappling title. Mikey is just become familiar with One fans for his debut back in May against Eminari, where he won via a rear naked choke. And he, of course, holds a bunch of prestigious grappling titles and is ranked #1 in the world in multiple divisions. Kleber Souza is making his debut here. Of course, probably his biggest achievement is holding a victory over Mikey, though he does have a few other decent grappling titles as well. These two last competed against each other back in 2017, and they have both progressed a lot since then and have both made pretty decent accomplishments. But if you looked at both of their records and just what they've done, there's a pretty decent gap in what they have accomplished. Mikey, of course, has won some of the top-level jiu-jitsu tournaments of all time, and of course is ranked very highly. Meanwhile, Kleber Souza has struggled a little bit more, and he hasn't been able to achieve the same level of success. I mean, just looking at the losses, Mikey has lost 3 times in the past 5 years since their first encounter. Meanwhile, Kleber Souza has lost 3 times this year alone. Mikey is a very difficult opponent for most people. His style of jiu-jitsu is very tough to handle, and it's just going to be a very tough task for anybody. That's not to say Kleber doesn't have any chance. He does have some things going for him. He has been a more active fighter in the past year, and Mikey is coming off of a surgery that happened back in July, and this is his first bout. So you might wonder if he's going to be affected at all, maybe coming back a little bit too soon. But with that, I am going to leave Mikey here. I think he is just a more higher class jiu-jitsu practitioner, and I think he's going to take this fight. I think Mikey will win via a submission. Then finally, in the main event, Xiong Nan, the defending strawweight champion, will take on the upcoming Atomweight champion, Angela Lee, for the 3rd time for the women's strawweight title. Both women are undefeated in their weight classes and have held their titles for over 4 years between the two of them. When it comes down to the fight, I think Xiong Nan has every tool she needs to beat Angela Lee on paper. I think that her boxing is very good. I think that her takedown defense and grappling defense have been worked on a lot. I mean, she was able to hold her own with Michelle Nicolini on the ground, one of the greatest women's grapplers of all time. Nicolini had her back and she wasn't able to do much with it. But the main thing with Xiong Nan is that her attitude is just not there anymore. You can have the greatest tools of all time, but if your mind's not there, then it's not going to work out very well. And she just has kind of lost that killer instinct that she once had. You've seen it in her last fight in particular. She was just content with sitting against a cage, defending takedowns, and then just doing enough on the feet to win the fight. And it may work against some other fighters, but like when you're fighting Angela Lee, who's the most dangerous woman to be facing in one's championship, then you need to have that killer instinct in you. If the same Xiong Nan that's fighting Angela Lee is the same one we saw last time, I don't think that she's going to win this fight. So it is really reliant on how her attitude is and if she is really going to go out there and try and go for the finish here. Angela Lee, I mean, she doesn't have the best striking. I mean, her main focus is in the grappling. A lot of the success that she's had is in the Atomweight division. She has had a really significant size advantage over a lot of her opponents there. The Strawweight division, that's one of the reasons why she's struggled a little bit. She isn't as big there for the division. Angela is very aggressive, and she loves to move forward. She's got pretty decent cardio as well. But like I said, this is going to come down to Xiong Nan and the mindset that Xiong Nan is in. If she comes out there and fights the same way she did in the first fight, then I think it will be pretty easy for her to win this fight. But if she comes out there and she just is not very interested in fighting her opponent and doesn't have too much of a will to win, I think Angela's going to win this one. I think the same version of Xiong Nan that just sat against the fence against Ayoki Kimura is going to have a lot of problems with Lee, because Lee is very dangerous on the ground, and she just needs to be active. She needs to have that killer instinct, and she needs to go for the finish here. But unfortunately, based off of their last performances, I'm going to go with Angela Lee here. I'm going to have Angela Lee winning in the 3rd round via a submission. Now that the main card's done, I'll break down what fight I think will be the most interesting. I think it'll be Stefaredis taking on Rate Opicic in the heavyweight kickboxing alternate bout. Just 2 heavy hitters. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And the fighter to look out for, I think, is going to be Mikey. He's just an exceptional jiu-jitsu practitioner. I think he's going to put on an incredible performance here tonight. With all that, guys, thank you for watching the video. Make sure to like and share it if you enjoyed, and if you want to see more content, make sure to subscribe. And make sure to share your own predictions down in the comments below. This is Share Productions, and thanks for watching.